Good morning. Hope everybody's feeling well. Today we are going to be talking about radical expressions. So this is 7.1, and this is the first video for 7.1. I think that there are 3 videos altogether for 7.1. So be sure you watch all 3. Okay, so again, we're talking about radical expressions. So first of all, a radical is the actual sign. So this is the radical. And then the number that's inside the radical sign is called the radicand. The radicand. So the 49 would be the radicand. Positive numbers have 2 square roots. So, for example, the square root of 49 would be 7 because 7 times 7 is 49. It could also be a negative 7 because a negative 7 times a negative 7 would also equal a positive 49. If the 49 was negative, it doesn't have square roots. At least not real number square roots. Later on we'll talk about the non-real square roots that a negative number can have, but that's not for today. That's for later on in the chapter. The number 0 has the square root of itself. And since 0 is neither positive or negative, it just has the 1 square root of 0. Sorry for that pause. My computer turned off. Okay. So if you look at the handout that comes with this, the first example is the one that I already have on the board, which says find 2 square roots of 49. And so, of course, the 2 square roots would be a negative 7 and a positive 7. Okay. All right. Unless otherwise indicated, when the radical sign is present, you are looking for the principal square root. So the principal square root is always the positive. So if you're asked to find the principal square root, you only give a positive answer. You don't give the negative answer. Okay, let's see if you can still see that. I think you can. Okay, so if we're looking at example 2, it says simplify the square root of 16. And so 16, the square, of course, would be 4. When things are written in the radical sign, unless otherwise indicated, they're just looking for the principal square root. Okay. Example 3. We have a fraction inside the radical sign. And so when you have a fraction, what you're going to be looking for is the square root of each part. So the square root of 64 would be 8, and the square root of 100 would be 10. And many times you'll be able to reduce this number. And of course you could do this if you divided both of those by 2. So you'd have 4 and 5. All right, example 4. Example 4, we've got a negative sign outside of the radical, and then we have a positive 144 inside the radical. So first, we start with finding the square root of 144, which is equal to 12, and then we attach the sign that's outside of the radical sign. So your answer would be, your complete answer would be a negative 12. Okay, minimize this. So the next number that's under the radical sign is a decimal number. And we have 0.0036 as the radicand. Okay, so you can just put this number right inside your calculator, and it's going to give you the square root. But I think it's important to really understand what this is. So the 36 would be read tenths, hundredths, thousand, 10,000. So it would be 36 10,000ths. So 36 10,000ths would look like this. And then we could reduce this by finding the square root of 36 and the square root of 10,000. And then we could reduce that, dividing both of those by 2, and we would have 3 over 50. Okay. All right, let's see what we have for the next one. Example 6 says, find the indicated function value. So we have f of x is equal to, and we've got a radical sign with 4x minus 3. And then it says f is equal to 2. So we're going to substitute the x for the 2, or so then it would be 4 times 2 minus 3, and that's still all inside the radical sign. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. And so then we would be looking for the square root of 5. So when you find the square root of 5, you're going to find that it's a very long decimal number. And so what I'd like for you to do is to just round those long decimal numbers to the third decimal place. So we would have 2.236. Okay. All right, good. All right, let's look at number 7. So number 7 is also a function. And it says f of x is equal to x squared minus 20, or the square root of x squared minus 20. And they're saying f is equal to a negative 4. So we'll substitute the negative 4. So a negative 4 times the negative 4 is a positive 16. 16 minus 20 would give us a negative 4. The square root of a negative 4 is not a real number, and so we would just say, since this is not a real number because it's a negative 4, the solution does not exist. Okay. All right, great. Now let's go ahead and look at you try it 5. Whoops. Let's do you try it 1 first. Sorry, I looked at the wrong place on my notes. Okay, you try it 1. Simplify the square root of 9. So I'll give you a second. So of course that is 3. Again, because it has the radical sign, we know that they're looking just for the positive square root. Okay, then number 2, we've got 25 over 81. Square root of 25. Square root of 81. So our final answer is 5/9. Okay, and the next one is the square root of 121, and then they have a negative sign outside. Square root of 121 is 11. Then we attach the negative. Don't forget to do that. So our final answer would be a negative 11. All right, go ahead and do number 4 while I'm erasing the board. So for number 4, we're looking for the square root of 25 thousandths. And so we can write that. Actually, it was 25 10,000ths. And so now we're going to reduce this. And so we can divide 25 by itself, which is equal to 1. I think I'll do that here. And then 25 divided by 10,000. And that's our final answer. Okay, I'm going to step in front of the camera so you're going to see at least part of me. Hi. Okay. So the next one, go ahead and start it while I'm... Oh, okay, let's go back to this one. Of course, I divided instead of... I had a sleepy moment. It's early in the morning here. Sorry about that. So let's go back to 25 over 10,000. Because it's still inside the radical sign, the square root of 25 would be 5. And the square root of 10,000 is 100. Okay. All right. Now let's look at you try it 5, which is a function. And we have 3x plus 5 inside the radical with the function being f is 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. And then we are looking for the square root of 14. Which is 3.7416, and it goes on and on. So 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3. So we look at the 6 to tell us whether we're rounding up or down. And this is telling us to round up. So it would be 3.742 for your final answer. And you can put that little approximately sign. All right, great. And then now let's go ahead and look at you try it 6. So 6, we also have a function, and it's 2x squared plus 1. And the function is a -2. So we've got 2 times a -2 squared plus 1. 2 times 2, -2 times a -2 is a positive 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. So we're looking for the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. There's a negative sign outside of the radical, so we just attach that. So a -3 would be the answer to that one. Okay. All right, so that is all for the first part of 7.1. Again, 7.1 has, I believe, 3 different sections. So this is our first part. I decided to divide it up so that the videos wouldn't be quite as long for you. Okay, great. So if you have any questions when we're meeting tonight, be sure that you ask them, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.